Good evening and thanks for joining us for Monday's news. A senior researcher says politics and concerns raised on the floor of Parliament have changed over time. Dr. Thomas Webster from the National Research Institute points out part of the changes is due to voters' influence and for political gain.
The senior researcher commented on the changes in politics, pointing to the examples on the floor of Parliament.
If you look at the Parliament and the discussions now, the discussions in 1976 and up to 1980, the National Parliament used to look at national issues and international issues. Questions would be raised to the Foreign Affairs Minister on what was our agreement with China and why were we having these differences, or as an example. In the current Parliament, if you look at the questions and you look at most of the issues around my electorate, a bridge is broken down. How do I get, when are you, Minister for Works, going to give attention to my electorate? So it's my district, my electorate. Who's going to talk about national issues? Who's going to talk about international issues? We are living in a globalized world.
From Parliament, Dr. Webster adds it's slowly creeping into the executive, with ministers bringing back national projects back home.
But it's clearly happening that even now ministers of state are sort of looking after a particular ministry, but they're looking at that ministry in terms of delivering services from that ministry to their own districts. And who's going to take care of Papua New Guinea? So that's a weakness in the way that our Parliament is now working. And so we need to recognize those, the emerging issues around the weakening of national institutions as a result of that.
He highlights the trend in both has been driven also by the attitudes and demands of the voters, which sometimes is confusing.
And I think the members of Parliament, I don't blame them, because they're also responding to people, the demands of people in the communities coming to them and saying, hey, we want to, we have a house cry, we have somebody dead and we want a coffin box, or we have a bride price coming up. They are elected officials. If they don't contribute to those, then they will not be elected. They will not get a vote in the next election. So they're thinking of that. So we need to think of that demand on that side as well and try to come up with some mechanisms and institutional systems that enable them to operate effectively as politicians, but are not pressured in a way that also affects the well-being of the whole country and everybody else.
What sort of politics is played at the national, provincial and local level government level is up to them to decide. A year before the next election, the country's founding father, Sir Michael Somare, who was a nationalist till his death, will never see the changes after the polls in 2022, let alone the national institutions of government which were created at independence. Bradley Valenaki, National EMTV News.
You can catch more of that interview with Dr. Thomas Webster on our In Focus program after the news. The PNG National Airlines Employees Association has signed a new memorandum of agreement with the PNG Trade Union Congress to strengthen its relationship. NAEA, which has 1,400 members, will now be an affiliate member of TUC under the new MOA signed.
Hopelessness, where there's poverty.
National Airlines Employees Association newly elected President Joe Mondo, speaking during the signing of the MOA, outlined the association's decision to join the Trade Union Congress. Mr. Mondo says NAEA's decision to join the Trade Union Congress is in the best interest of its members and to strengthen the relationship between the NAEA and TUC.
PNG Trade Union Congress is still a very powerful political entity which many people, including the government, are wary of. Likewise, the new executive team of the National Airline Employees Association, with myself, the President at the helm, has overwhelmingly pledged to change all this by committing the association to revitalize and strengthen the bond between the two parties.
NAEA's 1,400 members are aware of the challenges faced by female employees of its association. Mondo says TUC can address issues and resolve matters for the benefit of the members. He appealed to TUC to support the members of the NAEA, especially the women.
The association could also seek support from the PNG TUC for the NAEA Women's Week to push for awareness and education on issues like gender equality and violence against women.
Trade Union Congress Assistant General Secretary Anton Sekum reaffirmed that addressing issues concerning staff welfare and challenges faced by employees in the country is paramount. One of the current issues highlighted included employees being forced to take COVID-19 vaccination.
We are facing now, you have to take a jab. You're allowed being jabbed for your job. Those are challenges that also impinge on our democratic constitutional freedoms, and also it's happening challenges at the workplace, and how do we take it forward? And with the younger, youthful leadership, with the energy, we can, come together to forge an alliance where we can work together to meet those challenges and try to take it out on for the membership that we represent.
Sulisuli, National MTV News.
Capital Centre Limited has obtained a court order to develop portion 2129 Granville, Port Moresby, the piece of land where Jack Piddick Park is situated on, which, according to documents, was swapped by the national government for the land at 3 Mile, where Susumama Clinic is now built on. However, the National Capital District Commission claims a portion 2129 remains a public space, and despite CCL having been a leaseholder, it does not have the title to develop the land.
Jack Piddick Park, widely known as a public recreational area for Port Moresby residents, according to legal documents, is zoned as a commercial space, and leaseholder is Capital Centre Limited, formerly known as Boy Consultancy Services Limited, CCL, since 14th April 1991, acquired portion 2129 for commercial use, which was subjected to survey. However, NCDC is of the view that Jack Piddick has been gazetted as a public space and remains a recreational park. And if CCL is to erect any buildings, the approval must come from the NCDC Physical Planning Board.
No personal grudges or anything with them, but it is our responsibility as the municipal government, for me as chairman of NCDC and governor of our capital city too, to protect the public space, especially recreational space that we have. And I want to say from the outset too that the public space is diminishing. The Department of Lands especially has not been helping us to manage this public space properly. Not just public recreational space, but also spaces like drainage reserve, road reserve, a lot of other reserves that are there for the benefit of the public. And we are here in this situation. People might deem that we have a dispute or some grudges with TST group of companies. We don't. But we have a situation in which Lands Department has poorly managed this situation, has continued to override us, continued to ignore planning, zoning, and the public interest, not just on this occasion, but many other occasions. And it has left us to manage this type of a situation where Lands Department, they create. So I want to say this from the outset. This is a situation Lands Department created. We did not create it. We have tried our best to manage it.
After years of court battle between the state and NCDC, a court order of May 2021 has ordered that CCL is the registered proprietor and has an indefeasible title over the disputed land. This means stop work or demolition notices issued by NCDC will amount to contempt of court. Thus, in enforcing the court order, CCL is erecting a temporary fence around portion 2129 with the intent to develop the area for commercial purposes.
The court also ordered that anyone on the property should give vacant possession to Capital Centre Limited within 45 days from the date of the order, which is 19th May 2021. In the nature of a permanent injunction, the defendants Their servants, associates, agents, and associates are restrained from entering onto and enjoying the land unless upon written authorization from Capital Center Limited. They are also restrained from intimidating, harassing, abusing, physically interfering, and threatening its Capital Center Limited, its servants, associates, agents, or invitees. So that covers what is happening on site now. No one should be allowed to go onto the land and interfere with the fencing that is going on. It is ordered by the court. The court order is contemptuous in nature, and so all parties in this proceeding are supposed to comply with it. So our client is also just complying with the court order. So if there is anything that needs to stop, it needs to come from the court, because we all have a court order to comply with.
Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
A 15-year-old girl says she was kidnapped in broad daylight, taken hostage by a group of men and pack-raped on a hill at Hohola. So from this terrible ordeal, she picked up her courage and walked all the way to Murray Barracks, where a relative lives. Due to her age, we are not mentioning her name nor showing her pictures. The story is told by the female who assisted her.
Elizabeth had thought the 15-year-old girl had come to visit her for other reasons until she heard her story. As a mother of girls herself, she hugged the teenager and cried. Because she is a juvenile, we are not mentioning her name nor showing her pictures.
But she was crying when I brought her in. And then I asked her, and she actually told me what had happened. And we saw that she was covered with her top. From her waist down, she was covered with her cardigan, her warm, coat that she wore.
This was her state described by Elizabeth when she arrived at her home at around 11 this morning.
She was traumatized. She was crying. She didn't know how to, express what had happened to her. And she was just standing there and, tears rolling down her eye. And this is what she said. She said, I got some men just, got me in the bus, brought me up, and did this to me. They took all my money, they ripped my clothes off, and this is what happened to me.
Talking in between sobs, the girl said she was in a PMV bus traveling to Gordon's to send money to her mother. When the bus stopped at the RSPCA bus stop, she heard a group of men telling all the passengers to get out of the PMV bus. She was seated in front of the bus, and when she tried to get out, the group of men put the knife at the driver and his assistant and told them to drive off with her still inside. According to her, the bus turned around and came here along the Hohola freeway. She was forced out of the bus and up this bush track to the mountain.
My God, what are we going to do to this little girl? And does her parents know that this is what happened to her? So I had to, step in and act for her. And she just kept on crying,
Elizabeth assisted her to the Hohola police station to place a police complaint and then to the hospital for a thorough medical checkup.
I was also told that the next day to bring her in for the constable there to sit with the victim and make the report.
Hohola police confirmed the complaint but say they were unable to respond quickly to the report and search the site of the alleged rape as the girl seemed traumatized and did not speak well. Simply put, they couldn't make sense of what she was saying. She was instead referred to the family support clinic at the Port Moresby General Hospital.
To them, it was like normal. It was a normal thing that, we do this. This is what we'll do. So that is so sad, to move to try and help someone, and then you see the police reaction is slow. It is really, sad for me as a mother of, girls.
It was more of a horror scene played out in broad daylight in the heart of the city. The reality is there is a traumatized girl struggling to get through the fact that she was kidnapped and sexually abused by a group of men. This story, as distressing as it may, Elizabeth hopes it serves as a warning to parents and women in Port Moresby to take precaution at all times.
So I hope this goes out to the, to the people of, PNG and, the city that we live in, especially Moresby, Port Moresby. Every parent should alert their daughters, especially girls. They should teach them, the safety or precautions of their safety in a city like this, knowing that something like this would really happen in, broad daylight.
Shaman Poreambeb, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. Locals at Musave in Kainantu want their roads fixed and need access to clean water in their community. While witnessing the opening of their new health post last week, a local woman, Morina Feve, expressed joy over this new development. She said, however, that they will need better roads to ensure patient referrals from the new health post to the health centers and hospitals are done with ease.
This is the road that connects the Musave community in the Kamano 2 LLG in Kainantu to the main Highlands Highway. It is a bumpy ride that takes about 20 minutes to get from the highway to the newly opened Musave Health Post. Morina Feve, a local woman, expressed her joy in seeing their new community health post. However, she is concerned that the bad roads will hinder the process of transporting referrals.
Problem in road. Because so mipla like him government can help him para straight road plo mipla na referral can stop isilo different mipa hari up go kamlo big pla house.
Responsible authorities they can help him mipla straight him road. So mipla can get a road access law by me referrals by go big pla house.
Another concern raised by locals is the lack of access to clean water, which leads to high cases of typhoid in the area. Chief Executive Officer of the Eastern Highlands Provincial Health Authority, Dr. Joseph Appa, said with the new health post, they're currently using tanks. However, they will be setting up the water supply for the health post.
So we will do a proper water supply and then bring it to the facilities.
I'm prepared to organize some water projects, and I have done so. I've done a couple of water projects in Kainantu district.
For Morina and other locals in the community, they hope to have access to better roads and clean water supplies soon. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News.
The concerns about the bad roads to Musave were put forward to the Kainantu MP Johnson Tuke. He says the District Development Authority paid 300,000 kina to a local contractor to fix the road. However, work was not done. Tuke said while the new health post may pave way to road works in the future, the DDA is looking into the past road contractor's case.
So while we have this service, it may give me another opportunity to invest some money into the roads again. Because after all, you don't expect people to walk to this far. We need to update the roads so that, the accessibility must be enhanced.
Gobin Lutheran Hospital on Karkar Island is a level 4 hospital but currently operating as a level 3 hospital because its facilities are in a bad state. Director Medical Services Dr. Waikesa Kalala says the church-run hospital is in need of funding from the church as well as the government to maintain facilities and serve the rural population.
Gobin is a level 4 rural hospital and a referral point for patients coming from Sumkilbar LLG of Sumkar district on the mainland and Bagabag Island.
Most patients there prefer coming to Gobin rather than going down to Modilon because it's closer, just across the bay, across the strait. So yes, we have actually our catchment area is most of around here in Sumkar district.
but the existing facilities are all run down. The hospital does not have a dental clinic, an eye clinic, or a biochemistry analyzer.
A biochemistry analyzer basically does all the kidney function tests, liver function tests. It's a very important diagnostic facility for the hospital.
The hospital has a bed capacity of about 115 with a daily inpatient capacity of 70 and an admission rate of 10 patients, including discharged patients as well. The hospital also has a full children's immunization program, including maternal and child health care clinic and a full antenatal clinic, and a visitation program around Karkar Island and the surrounding catchment area.
But as you can see, most of the services have gone down. We haven't had any funding from the government through the Christian health services, through Lutheran health services, which basically looks after this hospital. Our main issue is our funding issues, which has made it very, very difficult for us to run a level 4 facility at a district or a rural area. So that is our biggest problem.
Gobin's laboratory has also seen little renovation or new infrastructures erected to replace the aging facility. Last month, a group of volunteers who call themselves Friends of the Hospital climbed Mount Kanagio on Karkar Island to raise funds for Gobin and Medang provincial hospitals. Half of the money raised will go towards assisting the rural hospital's lab facility.
With regard to the laboratory, during the climb from Mount Kanagio, we have raised about 60,000 kina, but 30,000 kina is coming to Gobin. The rest is going to Modulon General Hospital. And that one is going directly towards the lab facilities, which we hope to purchase a biochemistry analyzer. A biochemistry analyzer basically does all the kidney function tests, liver function tests.
Gobin is liaising with Medang Provincial Health Authority for counter funding to assist the hospital purchase the biochemistry analyzer. At the moment, the hospital is carrying out minor maintenance work on the wards to make it more conducive for patient use. Funding remains a challenge for this rural hospital. Martha Lewis, National EMTV News, Medang.
People living in Morata suburb in the Mosby Northwest East Electorate have been living without clean water for cooking and drinking for over 2 months. This has affected students, SME owners and public servants residing in the area. They are calling on authorities to restore the water supply into their area.
This is Morata 2 Guava Street. People here have been living without clean water for cooking and drinking for over 2 months when water supply into their area was cut off by authorities. Main water pipes and taps have no water flowing through, with water containers, cooking utensils and laundries left unattended for weeks. Residents say their only access to clean water is through relatives living in other suburbs or a few kilometers drive to nearby rivers outside the city.
Piginini all painim sick because no got water, so all no waswas all piginini suwa come up.
I'm affecting me all school pigini. Now me got all house rent house all tenants too. Where sewage system me too am affect lo water too. Where me so use water too, washing clothes, plate cap daily life
This has affected public servants and students living in the area. Students have been missing classes and public servants have to spend more just to have water in their houses. A resident say he is spending over 300 kina weekly to buy water from stores or water carts to refill water tanks.
No water is affecting me. Also, me wasting money buying water cart 300 kina every week. This like sim water picking in and me yet go walk.
Last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, told me go. Now where I'm affecting me plenty of lesson. Lo class me no bin sim now land out. Well supposed to give no class lemon me no bin sim. Natla because lo uniform lo me daddy so how me wearing nalal clothes color school so me no adwara tu so me stall house.
Marilyn Tari is a SME owner who owns a rental unit in the area. She says she has been losing tenants because of water problem and this is affecting her business.
Line pani maat lo stop na molgolo up warasa kam longem na. Ose make him good lab but then people money me spend him too na online lusim nang gona ose me pani maat now. So on pla tok tok mo sem suppose me plug and pani mslaga no laus na a community mo slagay no line when gapman no na plo megim Na wara sa posembla gibi me game kan putim mitalo wan apa. Instead lo pasim na kontrol mia. Disla pasim am kopinis.
The residents are appealing to authorities to have their water supply restored. They say Morata is one of the biggest suburbs in NCD, with most working-class people living in the area, and this issue must be addressed.
Na what I'm going to make him logan put him water meter. Also make him lo narlo suburb. Mibla lo Morata em also meets a suburb lot and section. So what Mibla encourage him logan suppose what I'm problem lo NCDC. Mibla recommend him Eranuken. Give me the water meter.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
And now looking at the NASFANT market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina will buy $0.2775 $0.3722 Australian dollars, 0.2271 and 29.81 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee closed lower, while cocoa and copra closed higher. Crude oil is trading lower, palm oil and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 15.53 points higher. The ASX 200 is trading at 33.62 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 35.39 points lower. You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Angry residents from Bushwara area of 9 Mile gathered this morning to present a petition to the NCD governor over land issues between Number One Super Limited and the residents. The residents say Number One Super Limited signed a contract to do awareness from April to July. However, the work continued after the deadline. The residents were expected to meet with Governor Post Pakop and representatives from Number One Super Limited this afternoon to sort out their differences.
Since appointing the new project manager and community liaison officer, the Number One Super Limited were allowed only 3 months from April to July to develop their business at Bushwara area of 9 Mile. However, they continued their work after the approved 3 months. This morning, residents gathered out of frustration to present a petition to NCD Governor Poes Pakop to intervene and ease the matter.
Contract law expire on 28th of July, they are not allowed to continue anymore. Until and when the MOU is signed with NCDC and the governor's office, with and then Oliver come down lo year lo togi mipla lo when outcome lo MOU.
Residents say NSL were the initial developers to some part of the land, but were bringing in a new developer which the residents believed to be from Asia.
After lo this la due date lo this la contract lo project manager na liaison officer lo NSL, only small Chinese come inside lo set him up office lo. Me no show lo name lo this lo Chinese, but me plug got intel information and also some lo Bangladesh.
Speaking on behalf of the residents, Brenny Libes says Number One Super Limited has never given any formal letter to take up the portion of land.
By saying that, this is the black and white that the court granted us for eviction, or to come set up a camp, or come get a land here and set up an office here, There's no black and white. So if there's no black and white indicating any form of court order or court document, it's just like trespassing. We are still waiting for the governor to give the assurance for the MOU.
Meanwhile, the community members and NCD governor and NSL representatives will meet and sort out the issue. Podivai, National EMTV News.
Chukai Sports is next. All the details after the break.
Kai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Gulf Esos Rugby League team ended their 2021 season of the Intercity Cup competition over the weekend, losing to the Gro Kalahanis 22 points to 16 on Sunday. The Esos finished 10th on the ladder out of 12 teams.
It's football, you know, after you score some points, you got to come up with a good set of six to build on that. But unfortunately, like you said, good game of football dictated by some pathetic referee, if I should say. Look, we finished, I think, bottom of the ladder twice in a row, and we could have, I think we finished 9 or 8, but 1 point out of the top 6, which for me is an improvement on the previous years. But we can only build on that. So hopefully, we remain as the coaching staff and the players can build on this season to improve next year. But like I said, we don't know what the future holds here.
And that ends Trukai Sports. There were the details after the break.
Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Partly cloudy with a chance of brief light showers in Port Moresby and cloudy with some rain showers in Popondetta. In the Momasa region, cloudy with some showers in Lae and mostly fine though partly cloudy in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine though partly cloudy in Lorengau and cloudy with a few showers and possible thunderstorms in Buka. And in the Highlands region, partly cloudy with a shower or two in Mount Hagen and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Monday the 16th of August 2021. Until next time, pleasant viewing, be safe and good night.